Hey, what's up guys, Bo HD here, and iOS 14.5 has been officially released yesterday, bringing a bunch of new features and changes, including some controversial ones that are making Mark Zuckerberg shake in his boots. So in this video, we're gonna highlight all the biggest new changes and features that you should expect to see in this new iOS update in as little time as possible, because time is money. So let's start with Face ID. Since we all have to wear masks in public, Face ID doesn't really work very well, requiring us to have to manually type in a password or a PIN, which is just super inconvenient to say the least. iOS 14.5 will let you use Face ID on your Apple Watch to unlock your iPhone. It basically uses your Apple Watch as like another way to authenticate your identity, so you don't have to type in your manual password when wearing a mask. Pretty awesome. Another one of my favorite features is the ability to finally be able to set a default music player. So the very first time you install iOS 14 and you ask Siri to play something, it'll list all of the music streaming services you have installed on your iPhone. All you have to do from there is just choose which one you want to set as your default music player, which in my case is Spotify. And then from there on out, you'll be able to ask Siri to play a song and it'll automatically play via Spotify. This is a long overdue feature and will save me from having to, tack on the from Spotify to every Siri command when asking to play a song. So thanks Apple for this feature. It's also worth mentioning that Siri itself will no longer be defaulted to a female voice. You're actually able to select between a handful of different voices in the settings. And in my opinion, they sound all pretty good. Maybe I'll be switching between different voices depending on how I'm feeling in the day, We'll have to wait and see. I mean, I probably won't even actually change Siri's voice, but hey, the option to do so is nice, right? More options, the better. Additionally, Siri will be able to call emergency services for you. So if you say, call emergency, you'll see a 3-second countdown giving you the option to cancel the request. So that could be helpful if you're in a not so great situation. Other new features coming to iOS 14.5 include 217 new emoji. Yeah, that's right. There's a bunch of new various skin tone variations for popular emoji, as well as new emoji like a heart on fire, faces exhaling, faces in clouds, and faces with spiral eyes. So you can be creative with how you insert these emojis into your text messages. Also, the syringe emoji has been modified to depict a vaccine by removing the blood in the syringe. So that's definitely going to be a little bit more relevant these days. If you're a Fitness Plus subscriber, you'll now be able to stream your workouts to various TVs and devices that support AirPlay 2. So that should help you be able to cast your workout to your TV so you can, work out in your family room if you're into that sort of thing. But one of the biggest new changes that I kind of alluded to earlier in this video that Mark Zuckerberg has not been a fan of, and that has to do with the privacy changes. So with iOS 14.5, the OS will now require apps to ask for permission before tracking data and activity. So for an app like Facebook, which makes money on your data, it's seen as a pretty bad move because it really reshapes their business model. Here's what Apple now says to app developers. When submitting your app for review, any other form of tracking, for example by name or email address, must be declared in the product page's App Store privacy information section and be performed only if permission is granted through App Tracking Transparency. You'll also need to include a purpose string in the system prompt to explain why you'd like to track the user per App Store review guidelines. These requirements apply to all apps starting April 26th, 2021. So that's a pretty big new change. It's definitely going to be interesting to see how this plays out and how Facebook in particular responds, as well as a bunch of the other social media apps. Facebook has just been the most vocal in their opposition towards this new change. So far, they've actually been releasing advertisements praising their use of hyper-personalized advertising by claiming that it helps good ideas be found. The thinking for them is that these small businesses and the products they sell won't be able to be found as easily if users disallowed the ability to track their individual activity. But in my opinion, that's just a pretty weak argument because privacy is a fundamental right, at least here in the US, so trading it for the ability to be more accurately advertised to is just silly. Like, no matter how much Facebook tries to use small businesses as pawns for their grand data grab ambitions. Maybe if Facebook had a better track record for retaining users' private information, but they clearly do not. Like, it was just like last month, it was revealed that they have been leaking hundreds of millions of users' private information. and that's just on top of the other scandals they've had in the past. So maybe I would feel differently if they didn't have those scandals, but right now, I appreciate Apple for valuing user privacy. Not a lot of companies are valuing privacy as much, at least, as Apple, so I do appreciate it. But anyway, back to the iOS 14.5 features. Another feature unlocked for some iPhone 12 users is the ability to have dual SIM support globally. So this will allow you to take advantage of the phone's physical SIM card slot as well as its digital eSIM to have 2 lines of 5G service on the same phone. And last but not least, in terms of the big new features and changes, PS5 and Xbox Series X controllers will now support iOS and iPad OS devices. So you can game on your iPhone or your iPad with one of these next-gen console controllers. That's pretty awesome. But aside from those big changes and features, there are a bunch of minor tweaks made across the OS, as well as some of Apple's stock apps. So for example, in the app department, Apple News now includes a search tab and a redesigned Apple News Plus experience. And the podcast app has also been redesigned to make it easier to listen to your favorite podcasts. Meanwhile, we have the music app, which has also been updated to include swipe gestures and a feature to share lyrics if you're into that sort of thing. There's also apparently some Waze-like features being integrated into Apple Maps, so you'll now have the ability to mark the location of an accident or a hazard or a speed trap in Apple Maps, which is something that Google Maps has had for a while because they acquired Waze a number of years ago. But still cool to see Apple Maps continue to add features and get more well-rounded and closer to the capabilities of Google Maps. Another thing to note is that iOS 14.5 officially supports AirTags. So if you plan on getting AirTags like I do on Friday, I believe, stay tuned for that, you're definitely going to want to have this update installed and ready to go beforehand. So go ahead and hit that download button and get ready. But those are the big new changes found in iOS 14.5. Of course, Apple has fixed a bunch of bugs too, so in theory, the OS should run smoother than the last iteration. But then again, it could also open up its own slew of new bugs. So I guess we'll have to wait and see. With that said, guys, let me know which feature is your favorite in a comment down below, and let me know what you think of the privacy changes in particular. Do you value your privacy online and you back up Apple, or do you more align with Zuckerberg and Facebook's view of the situation and don't really mind targeted advertising? Curious to hear your thoughts. As always, I'm BoHD from Slash.tv. Hope you enjoyed this video. Thank you for watching, and I'll see you right back here in the next one. See ya!